there's this pressure of feeling like you have to have your shit together within a week of getting to a new place. And that is so far from the truth. And I want to take that stigma away that you need to have your routine and your normal regular structure back within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Like, we're going on a little over 2 weeks of being here. I have no routine. I have no structure. It has been extremely triggering to me. I'm very type A with my schedule. I put everything in my Google Calendar. I have nothing in my Google Calendar right now. Every day is a free-for-all. Where are we walking today? Do we have to go to the store today? What are we doing for dinner today? Like, I cannot do that, you guys. I want to validate you in the most way possible, whether you have kids or whether you do not have kids, that if you are sitting in your new apartment and you are going insane and you are like, I don't have a routine, I don't have structure, and you're on that spiral of like, why are we doing this? I want to let you know that it is so normal and so okay to feel that way. If you didn't feel that way, I would probably think that you're not being honest. You're listening to Breaking the Ice podcast, a podcast that I created in 2020 to connect women within the hockey world. My name's Devyn Dodero, my husband's Charlie Dodero, and we've played literally all over the world. We have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and let's just say hockey has taken my world by storm. What I've learned is that this community and these experiences are very specific, and you should not have to go through this alone. Through this podcast, I share the tools, resources, do's, don'ts, and what's helped me along the way while continuing to learn from each and every one of you. So lace them up and tune in for episodes twice a month. And make sure to follow the page on Instagram at Breaking the Ice Pod. Happy Wednesday, happy hockey season, happy nap time to me. If you guys hear some faint sound machines in the background, that's because I have limited space and time to record episodes, especially in the season, just because I don't have as much room. We're all kind of in a compacted space, and I've been owing it to you guys to do a solo episode, so I'm going to do a little mini-sode today and just catch you up to speed, give you some validation on maybe how you're feeling as we enter into a new hockey season, a new year. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to just chat and share my experience. I'm sitting here with my 2 dogs, drinking a sparkling water, and I'm ready to dive in. Something I have noticed that I like to do is I like to fix things. If I'm feeling a certain way, I like to get to the bottom of why I'm feeling that way, whether that's something physically or mentally, and just kind of dissect it and, try to fix it ultimately, because I don't always want to feel the things that I'm feeling. And I think it's important to remind ourselves that it is okay to feel your feelings when they come up instead of trying to suppress it or fix it. And I've really been just trying to notice my feelings as they come up as opposed to trying to control them. And from my past experiences, moving abroad is always a challenge for me. I grew up in a pretty simple manner. I feel like I didn't have a lot of commotion going on. I never moved. I lived in the same house for 18 years until I went off to college, met my husband at the end of my junior year of college, finished college, moved back home while we did long distance, and then got thrown into this hockey life, and this has been my life for the last however many years. You would think, like, everyone always says, oh, you're such a pro at packing and you're such a pro at doing this. And even though that's so very nice and I appreciate that, I still feel like it's just as hard for me as it was when I first started this lifestyle. And the reason why is we move basically every year to a new place. Like, we've never really been in the same place that often besides Idaho, and then we signed in Graz for a second year, but every year it's different. And I think that's one of the challenges, and that's actually one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is because I was like, this is freaking hard. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't be the only person that's feeling that way. And starting this podcast has been such a blessing in my life because it's validated me and my feelings so much. So going back a couple of weeks ago, so we flew out here on August 10th and today is the 26th. So I'm going to go back to a few weeks before we were supposed to leave. So I updated you guys. I was like, we're going down to San Diego. I told my son I'd take him to Legoland. I haven't been home in 2 years. So I haven't been home since I was pregnant with Skylar. And she's 19 months now. So that's a long time for me because I love San Diego. My friends that I grew up with are down there. My family's all down there. And so that's always going to be like kind of the root of who I am, is like down in San Diego. So not going home for that long is a long time for me. After I had Skylar, I had obviously really bad postpartum, which I shared about. And after the hockey season, because we went so late because we won the whole French Cup, I did not want to do any traveling. I was like, I'm good. We're staying here. If we want to go anywhere, we can do a road trip, but I'm not flying anywhere. I need to figure out my life. So we didn't go anywhere that last summer besides Bend, Oregon, because it was like a 4-hour drive, but we did not go down to San Diego. And then this past summer, we were supposed to go in July. It gets hot as crap in Boise, like 110 degrees in June and July. So I was like, oh, that's such a nice way to, break up the heat. We can go down there, enjoy the beach. We've been hyping up Legoland all summer to my son, who was just asking nonstop when we were going. And once this contract came about, which we were so fortunate to sign early, like we knew where we were going, we didn't really have to deal with that stress, thankfully, because we've been doing that, the last 2 summers of just like not having a contract until the fall, which has been stressful and not enjoyable for our family. So signing early was like such a blessing, amazing. So I was like, oh, this is like perfect, because I had this trip for like towards the end of July, but I'll just change it to early August, and then we can go down to San Diego. We can fly direct out of San Diego, like have some help beforehand, and that'll be great because we can like still do that trip, but then it's like easier to fly out than flying out of Boise. Anyways, we then had to go to Seattle, like kind of last minute with like probably a week's notice, to go get our visas, which was like really smooth and nice. A few people have asked me actually about that visa process, and that was totally covered by the team. Like they flew us to Seattle, they paid for our hotel for a night, paid for our visas, and then we just flew back home. So we just went for one night, and we had to do this before booking our flights. So then we went to go book our flights, and the flight direct from San Diego to London in economy, you guys, was $4,000 a person. I'm like, I'm sorry. No team in Europe is going to pay that, let alone if anyone is paying that. I'm sitting in first class, which, by the way, I've never flown first class in my life, but we usually fly premium over here. But I'm like, I'm not paying $4,000 for economy. Like, that's disgusting. So we had to change our plans. We had to cancel our trip to San Diego. And another thing that happened was one of my good friends that I've been friends with since second grade, she's just kind of a family friend. She's marrying her fiance, who I also went to high school with. So like all my friends are going, and this was like this early September. So when we signed here, we actually thought that the UK season started later, but actually they had people come out earlier this year, which is fine. But I had it in my head kind of that like, oh, maybe I could catch that wedding and then I could go down to, San Diego. So we had to pivot our whole plan, cancel the trip, fly out of Boise, and come out here a week before the season started, which is a week longer than when we thought we were going to be here. So that was a little bit frustrating, and just another example of like the sacrifices that we have to make, because I was really looking forward to being able to go home and like spending that time with my family. And my kids love my parents, and they were getting stuff set up for us to come down there. And, we had these plans to go enjoy the beach and the Legoland. And so I had to tell my son, like, plans changed, and he was totally okay. But, I don't really know how kids process things necessarily at the age that he's at. But I obviously just felt really guilty because we had been hyping it up for so long. And then also just like, I don't know if grieving is like a strong word, but like, I'm just going to say that word, like grieving the fact that like I can't go to yet another one of my friends' weddings is like really shitty. And that's also something that I feel like we don't talk about much as a community, or like, I guess I just don't speak on it a lot, but it really sucks having to miss all of these big moments for our friends. And whether that's like weddings, engagements, bachelorette parties, babies being born, baby showers. Like another one of my best friends, like my college roommate, she's pregnant and I have to miss like the birth of her baby, and her baby, like it's just FOMO to the max. But so much more than that, you just have that sense of like, I want to be there though, and I feel like I'm missing out on these big moments because of hockey. And that's just a major sacrifice that, we have to make as significant others in this lifestyle. I kind of had to like explain it to my husband a little bit that this is like a long-term friend, and like I have probably had to miss 10 of my friends' weddings that are like, it's not just like a random wedding, like a random acquaintance, like it's like all of my friends from high school or all of my friends from college getting together, like having these core memories. And sometimes you feel like you're just kind of like slipping away because you're never able to like continue to make those memories with people because like you're always gone, if that makes sense. And I'm sharing this because I know that a lot of people can relate to this. And, as our husbands are always like moving pretty much their whole lives, like I feel like they don't always necessarily like understand this, or like maybe our husbands don't necessarily have like those big friend groups like some of us have that have not moved our whole lives. And so like, yeah, just having to miss those moments or those things or those trips that we look forward to because it just didn't line up with hockey on someone else's schedule can like be a real bummer. So I just wanted to share that because I'm sure there's other people that, miss things during the seasons that can be just feeling really challenging. Like you want to be home, but you can't necessarily. So yeah, that was back earlier this month. And then it actually wound up being a blessing that we came out early because I felt like we really just had the opportunity to get situated, get settled, like move into the house, get things done, and, unpack. And my husband didn't have to take off right away. So usually when we get here, he has to like go to practice the next day, or like even the last 2 seasons, like he's had to just jump into a game like literally the next day. And it's been just kind of fallen on me to do all of these things when I'm running on fumes. So I actually would recommend getting to a season early just to be able to like find your footing a little bit and just get settled with the help of your partner. So when our travel plans changed, we both were kind of like, we need help with the kids to be in order to like get our house packed up and everything, because like this is just a lot. And I feel like we often underestimate like how much time it's going to take for us to pack our house and run the errands and do the appointments. And our lives are there, like that is our lives, and not having anyone live near us in the off season is hard. And then just like throw in a big move. So we had his mom come down for a week, and she's really helpful with the kids. So she was able to like kind of keep them occupied while we were able to get the stuff done that we needed to do. So that was really nice. And just like the preparation and everything for getting over here, putting all of our stuff in storage and saying bye to friends and all of the emotions that come with that. So, like, looking back at that last week, I feel like I really was letting myself feel those feelings of saying bye to people and like saying bye to my friends and like being in the moment and like letting myself cry in front of them and like say bye to them and like just genuinely express like how I'm feeling, because I'm really able to like disassociate in the moment, and then I go home and I'm like, oh, like I let it all come out. So I wanted to be true to how I was feeling instead of suppressing all of it or suppressing it until I get here and then just ultimately completely exploding. But then we move forward to the travel day, which honestly went fairly smoothly. We flew to Salt Lake and then Salt Lake to London, so it wasn't too bad. But both of the times on the flight, we had to sit for an hour in no AC with the kids. And if you're a mom, you just know how right where your brain goes to. It's you're sitting there and you're like, okay, so I'm already doing like a, you know, 12, 13-hour travel day right now. And then I have to add in like 2 extra hours onto this of entertainment. So that's 2 more hours of snacks, of activities, like whatever you have to factor in. So that was really not a great way to start the trip because we were so hot, just which if you're anything like me, when you're hot, you get like irritated and just like in a bad mood. And anyways, it was a long day, but we made it. We showed up to London. We were greeted by like the nicest people ever to pick us up in this huge like bus basically for our family with all of our bags, our dogs, our kids, and they drove us to our house. And this is the first time we've ever lived in Europe with a house, and let me tell you, it is a complete game changer mentally to have like a fenced yard for my dogs and my kids. Like we can just go outside and play. I can like leave the door open. They can all go out there. And it has been so nice to have that. And I know it's going to get really rainy soon, but just it takes a lot off of my shoulders because we've always had like a lot of stairs and just getting down the stairs with the strollers and the kids and the dogs and like just trying to wrangle everyone is like so annoying to the point where sometimes you're like, I don't even want to go outside because it's such a freaking process to get there. So I'm very, very grateful that we have this space. But of course, we arrive here on like the UK's hottest day of the year, which I know it doesn't get that hot here. So if you're listening from the UK, I understand. I've gotten a lot of DMs saying it's rainy and cold most of the year, and that's fine, I know. But we got here and it was 90 degrees without AC. And after all of that travel, like you just want to like decompress in a cold room. And so that is like always, I feel like such a big culture shock aspect for me is like getting here and just being like sitting in stale air when you haven't slept in 24 hours and your kids are like bouncing off the walls. Oh my gosh, guys, it's not it. And no disrespect, but I truly do not know how people live like their whole lives without air conditioning in their houses. Like, I know we're probably just used to it, but oh my gosh, like, I really don't know. I'm sure you get used to it, but like, when you are coming from a place where like your house is always air conditioned and then going to not having that in the heat, like without even fans or anything, like, how are you in a good mood? Like, truly, someone tell me. So, after that really hot day, it cooled down. And I actually love it here. This has been the least culture shock I've ever felt just because of the English and just seeing familiar things. There's like a lot of different shops here, like Free People, Anthro, Lululemon. There's Chipotle, there's Starbucks. Like the grocery stores are really nice. The food is really healthy. There's a Costco. There is a Costco. Like, I'm sorry, but like we don't even go to Costco that much at home, like maybe once every couple weeks, but like just the fact that we have that here just makes my heart happy, It's just the little things, you guys. So it's like I can literally go there, to get new contacts or get my eye exam. Yeah, so it's really cute. This is like where The Holiday was filmed, that Christmas movie with Cameron Diaz. We're in Guildford, England. It's 40 minutes away from London. And like 5 or 6 days after we got here, my sister, she's a little over 20 years older than me. She was traveling Europe with her family. And then her boys, who were 16, had to start school. So her husband and boys flew back home. And then she flew here and spent like 5 days with us, which was so nice and just helped me get like acclimated with the kids because she was able to help out with them, and give them a little bit of attention because I was still running on fumes. And I want to pause and talk about kids for a second. I started thinking that it was getting pretty ridiculous that the last few seasons I haven't done any sort of jackets for hockey for me or the kids. Even when we won the French Cup, no one on the team had matching jackets. Then I looked back and I felt so sad about it. So I knew for sure this year I at least wanted to get some jackets for me and the kids to wear to my husband's games. And we've had some pretty hilarious colors in the past, which I don't care. It's not like it's something I wear every day, but it's just been like super bright, loud colors. So I was excited this year that our colors are like in burgundy and navy and white, and it's just a lot more neutral, which is right up my alley. I started working with custom.by.elle, and I was so excited to get our custom jackets in the mail. She uses iron-on vinyl to make the jackets, and she can honestly do anything that you want. She was super easy to work with. The process was really simple. She sent me some ideas because I feel like I'm just not creative in that space. So she sent me some options of what she could put on the jacket and how I wanted it to look like. And I was so happy with the results. And I'm really excited to wear them to our opening games this weekend. So I will link her Instagram page in the show notes. She's based out of Calgary, but she obviously ships anywhere. I'm from the US, and she was able to send it to me, and it was there super quick, I think within a week. And the shipping wasn't even that crazy expensive. So she also ships worldwide, but the shipping is going to be a little bit more pricey for that. Definitely hit her up for any of your custom needs. Something I was not prepared for, and like truly, I don't think anybody has ever warned me, or like I've never even had a conversation with someone about this, but I did not realize how hard of a time my son was going to have with this move. And I know I talked about this a little bit on Instagram, but I was not prepared for that. It was really sad, you guys. For like a week, he was just talking about how much, and he's doing better now, but he was just talking about how much he misses his house and his friends. And he's like, I want to go back on the airplane. I want to go home. I miss my house. I miss my friends. Like, I want my teachers. I want to go back to my school. And just like hearing all that just kind of breaks your heart a little bit because you know that you can't do that. And so you really just have to kind of sit there in that with them and like, kind of go through those feelings with them. And actually, at one point, I was talking to him about it, and I kind of started crying because I was like, buddy, I miss my friends too. And like, I miss our house too. And you're not alone. And you can always tell me when you're feeling that way. And it's okay to feel that way. And we're going to make new friends. And then we're going to go back and see your old friends. And a couple of really great suggestions that people gave me were to put like pictures up on the wall, which it's on my to-do list. I just need to figure out where I can do that, in his room, of his friends and our neighbors and our family, and just like put up a little, picture thing up on his wall. So I think that's really going to help him. I think he would really be excited about that. And then I also downloaded that AI, and I just said, can you please write me a story about my son moving to England from Boise, Idaho, and gave them a couple of names of, friends and his stuffed animals, and they made an entire story that I read to him. And it was so cute. And at the end, he's like, I'm happy now. And I think it helped him like understand that it was okay to be excited about coming here, but he can also feel sad at the same time. So really just trying to support his big feelings while also trying to tend to my big feelings. and just trying to find our footing in a new city. I also am really going to have to just put myself out of my comfort zone and try to go make some mom friends, because there's really no other kids on the team that are specifically his age. Like, my daughter's still in that age where, like, she's kind of just like playing on her own, and like it's good for socialization for her, but like he really needs friends his age. And so I'm going to have to go meet some people because he needs to have that. Like, he needs to be able to have those friends that he can play with and schedule play dates with and like make those memories, because that's like very important when you're almost 4 years old, is to play with other kids. So we will do that. The last thing I want to talk about is really just giving yourself grace in this period of time. And it's funny because I'm saying that and I'm really trying to do that with myself. If I were living in my house in Boise, and let's say we found a new house to move into, and we packed up everything from this house and moved into a new house in the same city, it would be hard. It probably wouldn't be as hard, but it would still be hard. We'd have our crap everywhere. We'd be thrown out of our routine. We probably wouldn't be in our normal like food routine of like eating at home and like having that schedule. And, it would be a lot just doing that. And then you factor in moving to like a different country, a different city. You have a new group of friends. You're out of your element. You don't know where anything is. You have to unpack after just stressing out about packing, flying over here with or without kids. Like, it is a lot. Then you have people texting you saying, you look like you're having such a good time, and it looks like such a cute city, and how are you doing? Have you figured out your routine? And first of all, I want to say that like I've had very close friends text me this, and it is supportive and amazing, and I love that they're checking in. And I think both can be true, that you can love a city. Like, I actually really like it here, but I'm also having a hard time at the same time, and that has nothing to do with the city that I'm living in. It's all like a mental thing for me, and just not being in my element or routine that's like just really throwing me off. There's this pressure of feeling like you have to have your shit together within a week of getting to a new place. And that is so far from the truth. And I want to take that stigma away, that you need to have your routine and your normal regular structure back within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Like, we're going on, I guess, a little over 2 weeks of being here. I have no routine. I have no structure. It has been extremely triggering to me that I don't have this. I'm very type A with my schedule. I put everything in my Google Calendar, and I have nothing in my Google Calendar right now. Every day is a free-for-all. Where are we walking today? Do we have to go to the store today? What are we doing for dinner today? Like, I cannot do that, you guys. As someone who is type A with a schedule, in my normal world back home, I sit down every Sunday and I make a list Monday through Friday of our meals for dinner. I add in when we're going to the store. I have speech therapy for my son. I have swim lessons for my son. I have school for my son. I have happy hour for me and my friends. I have play dates for my kids. I have date nights for me and my husband. I have my errands plugged in. And I'm sorry if I'm triggering you right now by saying all this, but like, this is my reality, is that I am extremely organized with that stuff back home so that our life runs smoothly. And part of it is my kids also thrive on structure. So when I don't have structure, my kids don't have structure, which means they have a harder time, which means I have a harder time. So I want to validate you in the most way possible, whether you have kids or whether you do not have kids, that if you are sitting in your new apartment and you are going insane and you are like, I don't have a routine, I don't have structure, I don't even know where my contacts are or this jacket is, or I don't have XYZ and we don't have any food and you're on that spiral of like, why are we doing this? I want to let you know that it is so normal and so okay to feel that way. If you didn't feel that way, I would probably think that you're not being honest, because this is hard for everyone. And like I said, if you were to move to a different house in the same city, that would be a lot for most people, let alone a new country with new friends. And just starting over is a recipe for feeling anxious. So give yourself permission to ask for what you need. Maybe you journal, whatever it is in this moment, just know that there is no pressure to have your life organized within the first month of moving to a new place. Like, it is going to be chaotic. And for me, like I said at the very beginning, I'm really just trying to embrace that instead of fixing it and being like, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? Well, you feel this way because you're out of your element and this is not your normal like day-to-day life. So that's obviously why you're feeling this way. Like when I'm not moving as much and I'm sitting at home, or I feel like trapped by not having a car while my husband's at practice, like these are all normal things that are going to cause you to feel just like unmotivated and like, what am I doing here? I need structure, which is a total mental battle. So just take small little steps. Like for me, a small step that I took today is I've been like looking at this yoga and Pilates studio for the last 2 weeks, like since I got here, right? I've been looking at it and I actually want to teach there. But I haven't been able to get in contact with anyone, but I want to take class and my body is desperately craving a yoga class, like desperately. And I've been talking about it. I've been saying I'm going to do it. And this morning, I was like, I am signing up for a membership for 3 weeks because they have this like unlimited membership that I can sign up for. I'm like, I'm signing up for this for 3 weeks, unlimited yoga, unlimited Pilates, and I am booking myself in a class tomorrow night because number one, my body needs this. I can tell. I feel stiff from the traveling. I feel stiff from the unpacking, the moving, the sitting. Like, I need to do this. And it's very easy for me to make excuses with going to work out. That's just me. I'm just not a motivated worker outer. Like, I need an accountability buddy or like a workout buddy. Like, it's very hard for me. Once I find a place that I love, I will find the motivation, but like that first step is just a lot. So that was a little thing that I did today, is that I signed up for that and I booked myself in a class. And I'm hoping that that's kind of the start of getting myself into a little routine for me. Number 2 is that it's been difficult to try to figure out like how the school works here. And a lot of the schools don't start until the second week in September. So again, for me, I have nothing going on for my son. He's a busy kid, which means I have to entertain all day long. And hats off to you if this comes easily for you. I need support. So I have been emailing schools. We've been touring schools. I'm trying to find the right fit for him. And so that's just a little step. And I know it's going to come. And so I'm letting myself feel that way of feeling like he needs to get in school. I know this will happen. This is only temporary. It's going to work out. Another little thing that I did. I need to clean this place. Okay. I'm not going to go into detail. There's not really a lot of details to give, but I will say this house needs to be cleaned. So I joined a bunch of Facebook groups, like local Facebook groups, and I posted in the group. I said, I need a house cleaner. Please DM me your rates. I found someone that is charging me 17 pounds an hour. She says it's going to take her 3 hours to clean. I said, great. Can you come every 3 weeks? She said, yep. She's now on the schedule. Every Wednesday at 9:30, she's coming and she's cleaning my house. And those just little things that I'm doing is making me feel better, even though I don't have that routine, but I know I'm going in the right direction. So even if it feels hard or like a challenge or, I don't know if I need a cleaner, or I don't know if I need to go to a class, I could just work out at home, like kind of getting integrated and also just like getting a little bit of support. Example, a cleaner. Example, school. Do it. Take things off of your plate. If you know, like sit down and ask yourself, how can I get more support? Do I need to go to the grocery store by myself without my kids or without my husband? Another thing I did was I downloaded an app called Babysits. They have it in a lot of countries. They had that in France and Slovenia and here in the UK. And I'm on there and I see this girl that's from the US and she's 23 and she's living here with her boyfriend. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I messaged her. We met. I love her. She's now watched my kids 3 times. Because I'm like, I'm not a superhero. I can't do all of this on my own. I need support. Just like I would need support back home, I need support here. So do those things in which you need, whether that's a cleaner, whether that's childcare, whether that is, signing your kid up for like an extracurricular activity because they have high energy, like whatever that is. If you need to hire a dog sitter, even if you have all the time in the world, if you're working full time and that's something that's causing you guilt or anxiety, like your dogs aren't getting out much, hire a dog sitter. Like do what you need to do so that you can get accustomed into a new place. You're doing the best you can. This is hard. People think this is like so glamorous, but like raise your hand if you wouldn't be doing this if this wasn't, the career of your significant other. I think a lot of us can admit that, and it's okay to admit that. Like, there are people that probably would want to live here. Not here specifically, but just like live where you're living. If it, like maybe in Europe or maybe in a certain part of the country, but like, we don't get to choose where we go always. Like, we wait for offers to come in, and, we got really lucky this year with where we went because the English and the town is so cute and there's like a huge group of girls, which is going to be awesome. But at the end of the day, it's still a major adjustment. And I think that we all just need to give ourselves more grace and acknowledge yourself for even doing this in the first place, because I cannot tell you how many people say to me, I don't know how you do this. Not everybody would be able to do what you're doing. So I wanted to come on here and just validate your feelings because I've had to validate myself a lot. Ask your partner for what you need. Your feelings matter too. And if you're happy, like outside of hockey, your partner's going to be happier there as well. So just don't be afraid to like take care of yourself and step away when you need to and delegate when you need to. With that being said, that is like pretty much my updates right now and like my currently what I'm experiencing, and I wanted to just share with you all. So I hope this just makes you feel a little more like you're in this community of people, even if you don't know someone that's going through the same exact thing as you. Like, we're all kind of in this together and we're all kind of in this situation together. So if you're having a hard time, like my inbox is always open and I usually try to respond to like most people that message me. The Sunday check-ins are a really great place to share what's on your mind if you want to be anonymous and just utilize resources. And also, if there's something that you want me to speak on too, whether that's on my Instagram page or podcast, like I always really love to hear that feedback because I want to be able to support you and share what you want to hear about. So again, my inbox is always open. I hope you enjoyed this little mini-sode today, and there's going to be a new episode coming out early next month about long distance. So if you're on that long distance train, this is going to be a great one for you. And if you're not, or if you've gone through it at one point, it's also just a really good episode where we chat about all the things. So thank you for being here and hang in there.